Welcome to Comics League. I am Jared, and today we are actually this is going to be a follow up to a video that I published a while back, talking about how Tom Taylor doesn't understand Superman, particularly using Jon Kent as an example with the whole pacifism example that he brought up about how he made Superman, Jon Kent, a sensitive pacifist. I said how that doesn't understand Superman. And with the response to that video made me want to revisit that topic, but I want to approach it in a new way. So I'm going to talk about, let's say I were writing Jon Kent's Superman. How would I fix the character? In other words, if after okay, I'm going to address this in a couple of different ways. Number one, how would I do it if I were Tom Taylor and I was starting fresh? In other words, if the Son of Kal-El series hadn't happened, how would I write it? And then how would I write it from now? In other words, if when the Son of Kal-El series ends, and let's say I were replacing Tom Taylor, how would I take over? So in terms of first, how I would have written it from the beginning, I would have made it. I would have still done the Superman goes off, so he puts his son in charge, because that would realistically happen 100%. And it would be an interesting place to put Jon Kent's character. Now, oh, by the way, quick thing. I know Tevye is going to drop in the comments the way to fix Jon Kent is to age him down. Yes, that's obvious. I'm just going off it if that's off the table. So before I get a bunch of comments saying de-age him, I agree with you. But for right now, I'm operating under the assumption that that's not an option. So anyway, going back. So I would have him leave. I would not do the whole J thing because honestly, I wouldn't. I wouldn't because I think it's pretty stereotypical to just go straight to a romance one. No, what I would do is have him first. Have him be better established as Superman first. I would not have him be protesting anything, because half the stuff he's protesting in that book are stuff that can be solved in the DC universe like that. Because the problem with the Son of Kal-El series is that, like, when he has that cover of him protesting climate change, here's the issue with that. Most of the DC characters could solve the climate crisis like that. So honestly, that kind of comes off as a little tone deaf, particularly as a monster is attacking in the background. Superman should be first up, front and center, fighting that monster. That's another way that they don't really understand Superman. So going back, I would have him I would honestly have him try to work closely with each member of the Justice League and try and say, you know what, you worked with my father. I want to actually, here's what I would do. I would essentially have him go, not say like I know how to be Superman by myself or anything like that. I would have him go to the Justice League members that are available, like Batman, Wonder Woman, and such, and go, teach me. My father's away. I want to learn from you now. Particularly, I would go to the other two members of the Trinity, because when you think about it, I know I say that Superman, that all the heroes in the DC universe take their cues off of Superman. So if he's not here, Batman and Wonder Woman. So in other words, he would logically go to the most realistic people, the most senior members of the Justice League, and go, teach me. And they would honestly send him probably to like the Titans. Have him spend time on the Titans, because I don't think Jon is ready to be his own superhero yet. I think he has to start off on that team and work his way up, because that's the way I kind of took the Titans. They're really more like, I took them as like training to be to essentially be the solo superheroes and team, obviously, but that's where you go to learn how to be a superhero. But that's the last step before you graduate to a mainstream DC character, DC superhero. So that's what I would do. Immediately put him on the Teen Titans, because he's kind of old to be on the Teen Titans, and have him take instruction from Nightwing, Starfire, and the like, and Cyborg. You can also have him hang out with Cyborg the most, because if you remember, I think it's I'm trying to remember. Brian Hitch's Justice League run in Rebirth, he and Vic were constantly hanging out and being buddies. So I feel like he would gravitate more and hang out with Vic. And I think we get some cool issues, them like playing Xbox and stuff. That'd be really fun. And that would really show, because here's the problem with the Son of Kal-El series. It just throws him out there and says he's the Superman now. You kind of have to earn that role. It's not, because honestly, the whole thing comes off too much like nepotism. I understand that you were trained by Superman and Superman's your father, but let me put it this way: Supergirl didn't just start off like that. She had to learn. She had the Amazons, which honestly, Supergirl in Jeff Loeb's Superman Batman run is actually a good example of what I want. Because remember, yes, she wasn't like on the Titans immediately, but she was training under Wonder Woman on Themyscira. So really, she got to go to one of the Trinity members, and arguably the one that best worked for her, to learn how to be a superhero, learn how to control her powers and such. And yes, she had Superman and Batman training her, but it was also for a significant portion of that Diana. So that's the first thing I would do. Second thing, I would honestly start to build and give him a better rogues gallery, his own rogues gallery. Because honestly, because here's the thing, I would give him, like, if you want to bring back, like, who was that villain that Bendis brought in that destroyed Krypton? I can't. Oh, Rogol, really annoying character. That's how memorable that Superman run is. To make him the villain, say, okay, hybrid Kryptonians are even worse. Or honestly, here's what you could do. Speaking of that, just put Lex Luthor as his villain. That's what you can do, because to think of Lex Luthor, he's always like distrustful of Superman. Think of a hybrid. Mm-hmm. Or he could do here's my first arc. This is what I would do. I would have it where Lex's plan is to take over the mind, essentially control the mind of Jon Kent. That way, when Superman returns, it's kind of like in the Winter Soldier, how he had all those keywords that turned him into an assassin. Lex says the keyword, sun turns on Clark. There you go. That's a good arc. And that would be a cool way to like to give Jon a villain, but also like that's the minimal effort that they would have to put in my mind. Plus, it would be a dope story. I can imagine Superman comes back and he goes to hug his son. Then all of a sudden, it's like he says like Siler Door or something like that. Whichever's the key word that would work. Watch it be Super Sons, and then Jon Kent snaps and hits his father with heat vision. That'd be dope. Because it's long been theorized, at least by Tom Taylor, that Jon Kent is stronger than Clark, which I don't see because he's a human hybrid. Clark is pure Kryptonian DNA. It makes sense with Kara because she's younger and she can absorb solar radiation but better metabolize it. So that's why it makes sense there. And then honestly, I would have Jon Kent make more mistakes. Honestly, I would have had the if I brought in Jay at all, I would have had Jay betray him. That's it. Done. That's it. Make Jay would be the villain to work his way in. And because here's the thing. Here's what you could do with that. You could have Jon Kent go through a crisis of the mind where he's like, mankind betrays us all the time. Why am I risking my life to defend them if this person I open my heart to just turns out to be a villain? That's the way they could have done that really well. And that could have been a really compelling storyline. And it could have developed Jon's character actually really well. Let's see. What else would I do? What I would also do is I would have Jon be weakest. Because here's why. I would have Jon be the weakest of the Kryptonian kids because of his human DNA. Because here's what that does. Because then he has to deal with the supervillain saying is particularly the alien supervillains going, you're so weak with your alien DNA, and he has to overcome that challenge. That would be super cool. Plus, if he's gonna be the new Superman, it's great if he starts off the weakest, because then he has to fight to attain that role as the greatest. In other words, sheer power is not everything. Because ultimately, yeah, Clark is invincible. He has strength. Virtually invincible. He has super strength and all that. Yeah, and he could take punches up the live long day. What makes Superman unique is his ability to rise above those who are more powerful than he is, like Doomsday. Because when they first fought, Superman killed Doomsday. Again, Superman kills. General Zod killed. Darkseid killed multiple times, but it's not their fault that Darkseid came back to life. But my point is that you have to have these characters have some kind of struggle. Otherwise, you're saying this is the greatest superhero ever. He's the better Superman. Rings like hollow. That's what my problem was when Superman tells his son, "You're going to be 10 times the Superman I ever was." Because here's the thing: in universe, yes, it makes sense because you're a parent. You're going to tell your kids you're going to be a better man than I am. But as a reader nowadays, that kind of when Jon hasn't done anything to earn that like distinction, as a reader, it comes off as really hollow. So that's really my issue with that, is that they were all, because that's what happens a lot of times in modern comics. They'll bring in a new character or like mantle swap and go, he was so much better than the old one. Or it's like, take for instance Black Widow when they destroyed Taskmaster. The actress for Taskmaster said, "Oh yeah, my version is way more strong than the one in the comics." Like, based on what fact? Based how? I don't understand this. You've done nothing to earn that title. Or it's like when Moon Girl was brought in and Marvel said she's the smartest one in the Marvel universe. Why? Reed rebuilt the multiverse. I'm pretty sure he's smarter than she is. Doctor Doom, Iron Man. It makes no sense. But ultimately, that's how I would fix Jon Kent if I were rewriting the Son of Kal-El. Now, if I were doing this from now, I would immediately have Jay betray Jon, because in my mind, that has to happen. Because you have to, because honestly, you learn a lot about trust if someone you trust the most betrays you. Because here's the thing. Look at what happened in Tower of Babel. Batman betrayed the entire Justice League. They all learned a very valuable lesson of trust. And here's the thing. I think Batman's arcs, a lot of these storylines, like Injustice, is about trust. Case in point, Injustice 2, when Supergirl shows up, Batman has a really tough time trusting another Kryptonian because of what happened with Clark. But at the end of the game, after they send Clark to the Phantom Zone, which I'm sure he's going to break out of, and this is the good ending, essentially Batman reforms the Justice League and offers the place to Supergirl and says, "I'm expanding my circle of trust. I have to actually learn to trust people again." And that is a terrific moment. That's a terrific character arc for Batman. The Snyderverse, that's part of Ben Affleck's arc. He has to learn to trust people and work with them again. Hence the Justice League, hence him being the chief voice for bringing Superman back to life, saying there's no us without him. There you go. In other words, I would have Jay immediately betray Jon. I would set it up a little more, but yeah. And then honestly, at the end of my arc, I would make Jon the dictator. I wouldn't even make it like Luthor controls him. I would make him a legit dictator. He takes over Earth like he was meant to be, like they were hinting in Infinite Frontier #0, where the Spectre is taking Wonder Woman throughout the multiverse and saying, "Okay, he's destined to be a dictator." Yeah, because can you imagine? Clark comes back, his son's ruling Earth like in Justice Superman. Dude, that would be a story that I would buy and review on this show. That would be so dope. That's my problem with the Jon Kent character right now, is that there's so many amazing storylines. And you can enjoy what they're doing with Son of Kal-El. That's fine. That's your right. But I think there's so many more compelling stories that could have happened or they could be going in this direction too. But I'm just saying the potential for this character is there. That's why I don't necessarily hate Jon Kent as a character. I'm just saying the writers are not using him to his fullest extent, and they're leaving money on the table in my mind. But that's really where how I would fix Jon Kent. If you guys have any suggestions, drop them in the comments. I know Tavia is going to bring up DH him for Super Sons. Tavia, let's say that's not an option. How would you fix Jon Kent? Remember, once again, de-aging is not an option. I know people are going to inevitably put in the comments anyway, but de-aging is not an option. How would you fix Jon Kent? You can do it. How would you have done Son of Kal-El, or how would you write it from now? And you can't say I would de-age him and put him back in the Super Sons. Can't do that. It's not an option for this thought exercise. Maybe in a later thought exercise we can do that, but for right now, that's not the option. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this this little brief readdressing of a topic that I covered, except I wanted to like take it to its logical conclusion. And I hope to see you in this week's Snyder Sundays or Saturdays or something like that. We're still figuring out what day we're going to have it on. We're going to talk about the first Wonder Woman movie. And we're not talking about 1984 because that's not a Snyderverse movie. Neither is Studio Squad because the Ayer cut hasn't come out. Once the Ayer cut comes out, then we'll cover it. But anyway, so it's going to be Wonder Woman this week. Then next week is going to be Zack Snyder's Justice League. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have audience participation at the last 15 minutes of every stream, meaning that if you want the link, we'll send you the link, and then we'll let like 3 people max come on for 5 minutes each and say their piece. And to say what they thought about the movie and such, but it has to be 5 minutes so we can keep the conversation going. It's going to be at the end of the stream. All right. On that note, I will see you guys in the next video. Stay heroic, everyone. Bye-bye.